Right, boys, it's Daddy. I've come in under my covers because I thought I heard a noise. I thought it might have been a legend outside, but I think we're safe. Right, Chapter 5. Finn was late to school, and he was sure that everyone knew why. As he trudged up the corridor, Finn sensed a rise in giddiness from each class as he passed, lessons stopping so teachers and pupils could watch him. "Was that a big fella this morning?" a voice called down the corridor after him. "Any chance you got rid of them all this time, Finn?" asked another. He ignored it until he reached his own classroom. His arrival greeted with a frisson of excitement, he mumbled an apology to Miss McDade for being late and headed for the last available seat. Unfortunately, it was between Con and Manus Savage, identical twin brothers, except for that one chewed up ear on Con, which he always claimed was the result of a fight with a Doberman. He also claimed that the dog had lost. Finn wriggled into the seat between them, the metal lead screeching across the floor. The twins looked a little confused for a moment as they grew aware of the ripe stench of sweat. How horrible. "Hey, monster boy," whispered Con out of the side of his mouth. "You forgot to change your nappy this morning." "Miss," Manus asked the teacher, "can we open a window? Finn stinks." "Better make it 2 windows," suggested his brother. Finn wouldn't ordinarily have been too bothered by them. He knew his place. As a legend hunter in training, he couldn't really have friends. He practiced with his dad, and he studied. He ate, he slept, he didn't have birthday parties, and he didn't have any sleepovers. He didn't have other kids just calling in. He didn't even get a chance to answer their awkward questions about, say, the 3-headed dog his dad had just brought home. He was never even able to say in a casual, "It's no big deal" manner, "Oh, just ignore the Cerberus. Its bark is worse than its bite." Dartmouth's parents were understandably not too keen to let their precious children run round a house like Finn's. His family had been in town for 42 generations, but Finn would always be an outsider. There would always be whispers swirling around him, questions with a hint of resentment, rumours, why Dartmouth was the only blighted village left in which legends still attacked. Why more wasn't being done to stop them. He tuned out of much of it as he could, but it was always hard to do when it was coming at him in stereo. "What did you do to scare the monster, Finn?" muttered Con. "Breathe at him? If you just waved your sots at them, maybe you'd finally get rid of them all," added Manus. Finn began to feel irritated. It was one thing being different because of what he was. That was part of his life, something he'd learned to live with. It was another to be picked on after trying to protect those people being mauled by a mythical creature. But he didn't say anything. The Savage twins were more intimidating than some legends. He did, however, make a mental note to stash some deodorant and soap in his bag from now on. Miss McDade had resumed teaching, and most of the class was paying attention to her again. Finn noticed there was a new girl sitting in the back corner, staring at him through a curtain of deep red hair. A new girl? But there was never anyone new here. You were either born here, or you visited by mistake and didn't come back again. No one moved to Dartmouth, ever. And yet, there she was. From behind her fringe, the new girl gave Finn the tiniest hint of a smile. Finn looked away. When he glanced back at her, her eyes were on the teacher. Con leaned in. "Fancy the new girl already, Finn?" he whispered. "You never know," added Manus, in Finn's other ear. "Maybe she likes the smell of Ouda armpit." Finn imagined the twins being chased by the Minotaur, the look of horror frozen on their faces as its claws lopped their heads clean off their nets. The image cheered him up for about half a second, until he slumped down again for what he knew would be a thoroughly miserable day. Which it was, thoroughly. End of chapter 5, guys.